The toddler wouldn't stop clinging to the dog. When Sarah finally unplugged the air purifier and watched her son release his desperate grip on Max's fur, she felt her stomach drop. For 3 weeks, she'd been seconds away from rehoming their golden retriever, convinced the dog was somehow making her child anxious. One simple action revealed a truth so shocking it made her knees buckle. What she discovered about the invisible torture her son had endured would haunt her for years. Before watching, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss another heart-gripping story like this one. It started on a Tuesday morning, 3 weeks after Sarah installed the new air purifier. She'd spent $200 on the sleek, minimalist device that promised hospital-grade filtration without noise. The reviews called it whisper quiet and invisible technology. She'd placed it in the corner of the living room, proud of her investment in her family's health. By Thursday, 2-year-old Ethan had transformed into someone she didn't recognize. "Ethan, sweetie, come eat your breakfast," Sarah called from the kitchen. Watching her son pressed against Max, their 5-year-old golden retriever, his small face buried so deep in the dog's neck that she could barely see his features. He didn't move. His tiny fingers gripped handfuls of golden fur with white-knuckled intensity. "Ethan," her voice sharpened. "Now, please." The moment she tried to pull him away, he screamed. Not a tantrum scream, she'd heard plenty of those. This was different, raw, desperate. His whole body went rigid, fighting her with a strength that seemed impossible for his small frame. "What is going on with you?" Sarah's voice cracked with exhaustion. She'd been dealing with this behavior for days now, and every muscle in her body ached from the constant battles. Her husband, Michael, appeared in the doorway, his tie half knotted, frustration etched across his face. "Sarah, I have a meeting in 40 minutes. Can you please just let him sit with the dog so I can leave in peace?" "Let him?" She whirled on him. "Michael, this isn't normal. He won't eat unless he's touching Max. He screams if the dog leaves the room. Yesterday, I found him sleeping on the floor next to Max's bed instead of his crib. Maybe he's just going through a phase. Kids get attached to pets. This isn't attachment. This is obsession." Her hands trembled as she gestured toward their son, who had resumed his position against Max's side, his breathing finally settling. "And Max is getting stressed too. Look at him." The dog did look uncomfortable, his ears slightly back, though he remained still with the patience that had made him perfect for their family. Michael grabbed his briefcase. "Then maybe we need to consider rehoming Max, if he's causing this behavior. You want to get rid of our dog because Ethan loves him too much? I want our son to act normal again." Michael's voice rose, and Ethan whimpered, pressing harder against Max. "I'm sorry. I don't know what else to do. We can't live like this." The door slammed behind him, leaving Sarah alone with her son and the dog, the silence broken only by the soft sound of Ethan's breathing against Max's fur. But something nagged at her. The behavior wasn't consistent. Ethan played normally in his bedroom. He ate breakfast fine in the kitchen some mornings. It was only in the living room and the adjacent dining area where this desperate clinging happened. Only in the spaces where they spent most of their time as a family. The breaking point came on a Saturday afternoon. Sarah had been awake for 36 hours, her eyes burning, her patience shredded to nothing. Ethan had refused to sleep in his crib again, screaming until she'd given up and let him curl up with Max on the dog bed. She'd watched them through the baby monitor, her son's small body pressed against the dog's larger one, and felt something inside her snap. "That's it," she told Michael, who looked up from his laptop with hollow eyes. "I'm calling the rescue organization. This isn't healthy for anyone. Not for Ethan, not for us, and definitely not for Max." "Sarah, no. Look at us. We're falling apart. And what happens when Max has had enough? What happens when a 2-year-old pushes a dog too far?" Michael nodded slowly, defeat written across his face. "Okay, you're right. I'll make some calls on Monday." That afternoon, Sarah sat in the living room, watching Ethan once again attached to Max, and felt tears streaming down her face. The dog had been Michael's father's companion before he passed away. Giving him up felt like losing the last piece of the man who'd welcomed her into the family with such warmth. Max shifted slightly and Ethan's grip tightened. The dog let out a soft whine. "I'm so sorry." Sarah whispered, not sure if she was talking to the dog or her son or herself. Then Max did something strange. He stood up, despite Ethan's protests, and walked deliberately toward the corner where the air purifier sat, its blue light glowing softly. He nosed at it, then looked back at Sarah. Max? Stop it. She was too tired for whatever this was. The dog pawed at the device. Once, twice. Then he looked at Ethan, who had started crying, his hands reaching desperately toward Max. Something cold slithered down Sarah's spine. Max returned to Ethan, letting the boy bury his face in his fur again. The crying stopped instantly. The dog looked at Sarah with those deep brown eyes, then back at the purifier. Sarah's heart began to pound. She stood up, her legs unsteady, and walked toward the corner. The air purifier hummed almost imperceptibly, its sleek surface giving nothing away. She'd been so proud of how quiet it was, so pleased that it didn't disrupt their lives with noise. Her hand hovered over the power button. "It's probably nothing," she said aloud, but her voice shook. She pressed the button. The blue light died. For 3 seconds, nothing happened. Then Ethan's shoulders dropped. His grip on Max's fur loosened. He took a deep, shuddering breath and let go. Just let go. The dog stepped away carefully, and Ethan didn't cry, didn't reach for him. Instead, her son rubbed his eyes, looked around the room as if seeing it for the first time in weeks, and toddled over to his toy box. Sarah's knees buckled. She caught herself on the arm of the couch, her breath coming in sharp gasps. "Oh my God! Oh my God!" She plugged it back in. Within 30 seconds, Ethan abandoned his toys, his face crumpling, and stumbled back toward Max, grabbing onto the dog with that same desperate intensity. Sarah's hands shook so badly she could barely grip the plug as she yanked it from the wall. Again, within moments, Ethan released the dog and returned to playing. "Michael." Her scream brought him running from upstairs. "Michael, it's the purifier." "What? Sarah, what are you?" "The air purifier. It's been hurting him." Tears streamed down her face as she grabbed her phone, her fingers fumbling over the screen. "High-frequency sound. Dogs can hear it. Children can hear it. We can't, but they can, and it's been torturing him, and Max was the only thing that helped because the fur blocked the sound. And oh God, Michael, we almost got rid of Max. We almost." She couldn't finish. Her throat closed around the words, around the horror of what they'd almost done. Michael stared at the unplugged device, then at Ethan, who was playing peacefully with his blocks, then at Max, who sat watching them both with patient, knowing eyes. Jesus Christ. Michael's voice was barely a whisper. He picked up Ethan, holding him close, his own hands trembling. "Sarah, get your phone. We need to call the pediatrician. We need to make sure he's okay, that there's no damage." "I'm calling now." But her hands shook so badly she dropped the phone twice before managing to dial. The nurse line connected her to the on-call pediatrician, Dr. Morrison, who listened to her frantic explanation with professional calm. "Bring him in now," Dr. Morrison said, her voice steady but urgent. "Some high-frequency devices can cause significant distress in young children. We need to check his hearing and stress levels immediately." The emergency appointment revealed what Sarah had feared. Ethan's cortisol levels were dangerously elevated, consistent with prolonged stress exposure. Dr. Morrison explained that some silent air purifiers emitted frequencies between 18 and 20 kilohertz, inaudible to most adults, but painful for young children and animals. His behavior was a coping mechanism, Dr. Morrison said, her eyes kind but serious behind her glasses. The dog's fur created a barrier that dampened the sound enough to make it bearable. Your son couldn't tell you what was wrong, so he did the only thing he could. He found relief. Sarah's voice broke. "We almost got rid of the dog. We thought Max was the problem. But you didn't. And your dog." Dr. Morrison glanced at the notes. "Max, he tried to show you. Animals often understand these situations better than we do. Their instincts are sharper than our reasoning." Michael's face had gone pale. "How long before the stress effects fade?" "With the source removed, children are remarkably resilient. A few days of normal sleep, proper meals, and he should bounce back. But keep monitoring him. And please, report that purifier model to consumer safety. If it's affecting your son, it's affecting other children too." That night, back home, Sarah sat on the floor next to Max's bed. The dog lay sprawled on his side, finally relaxed after weeks of tension. Ethan was sleeping peacefully in his crib for the first time in 3 weeks, the baby monitor showing his chest rising and falling in steady, calm breaths. "I'm so sorry," Sarah whispered, running her hand through Max's soft fur. "You were trying to help him. You were protecting him, and I thought, I almost." The words caught in her throat. Max lifted his head and licked her hand once, then rested his chin on her knee. Michael sat down beside them, his arm around Sarah's shoulders. He knew. Somehow, he knew. "We're supposed to be the intelligent ones," Sarah said, her voice thick with tears. "We're supposed to protect him, but a dog figured out what we couldn't see." She pulled up her phone and found the air purifier's product page, her anger building as she read through the reviews. Several mentioned pets acting strangely. One mentioned a baby who suddenly hated the living room. The signs had been there, documented by strangers, and she'd never thought to look. That Monday, Sarah filed a formal complaint with Consumer Safety and left a detailed review warning other parents. Within days, other families began sharing similar stories. The product was eventually recalled, but Sarah knew how close they'd come to a different ending. From that day forward, Max slept in Ethan's room, a guardian whose instincts had proven more reliable than any parenting book or expert advice. Ethan would sometimes still bury his face in Max's fur, but now it was with joy, with love, with the simple affection of a child and his dog. Not desperation. Never again desperation. Sarah watched them together one afternoon, her son giggling as Max patiently endured a toddler's enthusiastic petting and felt the weight of what might have been. They'd been so close to removing the very thing that had saved their son from weeks more of silent torture. So close to trusting their limited perception over the wisdom they couldn't understand. Sometimes what we dismiss as irrational holds truths our senses cannot detect. The invisible can wound us while we search for visible enemies. In our rush to solve problems, we often target the solution instead of seeking the hidden source. What appears as strange behavior may be the only language available to those who cannot speak our words. Protection doesn't always look like we expect it to. Sometimes it looks like patience. Sometimes it looks like fur and loyalty and instincts honed by thousands of years of living alongside us, reading the world through senses we've forgotten we lack. If this story opened your eyes to the invisible dangers lurking in our homes and the unexpected guardians watching over us, don't forget to like this video, comment your thoughts, and subscribe for more powerful stories. Share it with friends and family, because sometimes the line between safety and harm is thinner than we imagine, and sometimes salvation comes from the companions we almost turn away.